truck bomb attacks, but it gets worse. They will also, and this is totally,
I love how you go. You go truck bombs, power outages, and then you go, and it gets worse. Like, it's crazy to think about getting it. And I understand what you're saying. It's so wild to think about this. It's crazy.
Yeah, and I want to be 1,000,000,000% clear.
Yeah.
I'm not doing this for sensational reasons.
No, for sure.
Okay. I want to be all I do is study this. So this is the normal threat continuum. So on the ladder, indictments, civil stuff, garbage, impeachments, take them off the ballot. And so next is assassination. So if you're a deep state and you shoot at the king, you miss, what's next? You don't just try to blow the king up with a truck bomb. You don't just try to poison his food. That's just standard procedure in history. You then attack black churches, black colleges with truck bombs or mass shooters. But a truck bomb's great when you're desperate because you don't even have to wind up a shooter. You just do it and claim a Trump supporter did it. So they have already said, Senator Blumenthal that's run the attacks on me and others have said, they've introduced legislation that when he's president-elect, because it's not just 112 days of the election, or 113. It's that in that 79 days from the early November to January 20th, when he gets inaugurated, that 79 days, the Democrats have said there's going to be massive civil unrest. And when Trump tries to call up the National Guard under the Insurrection Act, they've introduced a bill to strip him of that power, which is a coup against the executive. So they've already, I'm going for hours. They've pre-programmed all of this where they're going to stage attacks on black people. That's all pre-programmed, all the shows, all the movies, everything. Say Trump supporters are behind it, and they believe that will trump, pun intended, everything Trump is saying, everything Trump is doing.
You think they'll try to start some type of race war or massive civil unrest based on like a false flag attack that's may not be an assassination, but is just to destabilize the public and to just introduce chaos into the process?
Yeah, let's be clear, Tim. I don't think I know.
Right.
You have to understand, there's a Rand Corporation 34-step ladder they've had since the 50s. It's been updated that shows how nuclear war starts. We're at like 29 in Ukraine.
Right.
So this stuff has all been ridiculously wargamed. So it's not that I'm that smart.
Don't say but, say however. Don't say I am thinking, say
I know about Operation Gladio when the Russians took over most of Europe.
Shalom. First thing and foremost, I want to give all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai Ba'Shem Rachak. I'm going to give double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that rule well. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect. Noise in his gospel, broad, lifting up the standard of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, wherever it may be. This is the Tim Dillon Show with Alex Jones. This has 2,433,331 views, which came out 3 days ago. And basically, Tim Dillon, I've heard of him before, but I think he's like some type of, he has like some type of podcast, and I think he's like comedy and like parodies and all that other stuff, and going to like political measures, as you're seeing that he's interviewing this guy, Alex Jones. And one thing that stood out about this interview was the fact that Alex Jones stated that they was going to target black churches, black colleges, and black people, meaning Israelites. Okay, and you know what? That's not too far-fetched from belief or from reality, because we understand that, and I said it in another video, I said somehow, some way, all the stuff that's going on in this society, they gonna somehow blame it on Jake. Okay, they've done it in the past. They did it in the past. They doing it at the time of Nero. Okay, they did it during the time of the C-19 back in 2020. And, you know, somehow, some way with this whole quote-unquote assassination attempt on DJ Trump, this can go either way, okay? Because he even mentioned, he said that the Democrats are expecting civil unrest. Like if Trump don't get selected, or if he ends up dead, okay, which I don't really believe, you know, that would be the case, even if he did end up dead. But let's just say if any of those things took place or transpired, there's going to be civil unrest, okay? And what happened to DJ the other day or a couple of days ago was, in fact, succumbing to those injuries, then you better believe they would have burnt this place down. Especially these Edomites, man, these conservatives. Because one thing about it, they don't play when it comes to their guns and Trump and their so-called constitutional values. They hold and dear to that. Okay? So with that being said, you Jakes are going to be the primary target, because once society falls, that's open season on you Jakes, because according to Esau, you're subhuman anyway. You know? So like I mean some grapes. You're subhuman anyway, and you don't deserve to even exist according to these Edomites, because they're still mad about the birthright. And that's the perpetual hatred that Esau has for Jake. So somehow, some way, some affairs with DJ Trump and his political movement, somehow, some way, it will merit for them opening up on Jake, you know, when it had nothing to do with you. Okay? And this is why a lot of Jakes are saying now, oh, yeah, we support Trump, we support Trump. But either way it go, they're going to still spin the narrative. Because for one thing, this is Yahweh his anger towards the children of Israel, our people. You know? So, like Alex Jones said, he said blackouts and cyber attacks, civil unrest. All these are coming to America, okay? And we're literally right around the corner from all hell breaking loose. And we damn near saw that the other day, you know, when old boy allegedly got shot, which they're coming out with all types of information now. They talking about it was another shooter. They talking about even Iran had a type of assassination attempt on DJ Trump, but this had nothing to do with it. But wait a minute, I thought that DJ was going to bring the unity of the nations. I thought Trump was going to stop the war in Russia. You know, I thought he was going to bring unity to the people. I thought he was going to bring prosperity back to America through, you know, proper business dealings with China and all this other shit. But all of a sudden now, you know, they said that the Iranians wanted him assassinated, which is a pivotal ally of Russia. So how the hell is he going? World War III is going to happen. You know, so with that being said, you Jakes, you in trouble, okay? The time of Jacob's trouble, and this is the spirit that Apostle Tahar deemed this year the hopeful year of Jacob's trouble, okay? Because you had a movie called Purge Election Year, okay? When it was basically, if you go back to 2016, I think that was when Obama was in 2008, he got 2 terms. And he went up against Hillary Clinton, and it was so crazy because the 2016 presidential election, I believe Purge election year came out 2014 or something around that time. And yet you had the presidential race between Trump and Hillary, and Trump won, you know, but throughout that whole movie, they was trying to kill his bride, you know, and they was targeting so-called minorities as well. So fast forward today, this is looking like a repeat of 2020, because we know that during the time of 2020, the you-know-what kicked off, and that's when pretty much all hell broke loose on some type of political scale. You know, now they're talking about summits with this new bird ordeal, you know, and it's just a lot of shit going on in the world. But regardless of it, you Jakes, they're getting ready to open up on you. Okay, I don't know how they can tie this into Jake, but somehow, like he said if Trump wins, then hey, they gonna start targeting Jake. If he loses, they gonna target Jake. Because Jake, you're just gonna be casualties of war, man. Okay, because the whole target, this whole thing is really to get you, you know, to keep you in sin, to keep you docile, to keep you dumbed down, you know? So, I had a couple of precepts, wasn't a long lesson, but I was also looking up Rex 84, and I believe over some time they did some revisions of this because, you know, I used to read this a lot back in 2012, 2013, and it mentioned something about quote-unquote minorities and in urban areas and things like that, but when I go through it now, I don't really see as much. But then again, it says Central American residents and American citizens whom the U.S. Attorney General has designated as national security threats. Central Americans, going back into the tribe of Asher, you got Asher, you got Naphtali, you got Zebulon, okay, and just the Northern Kingdom in general, which are Israelites. This is another way of saying, look, we're going to target Israelites. And what are the chances that these so-called migrants that Biden walked across the border practically is basically in shame of being considered threats now? Because according to Esau, the migrants are the ones that's committing all the crimes by turning a blind eye to Iranian nationals, Chinese nationals. Here you got Hamites posting up in the corners, on street corners in the East Coast, and yet Esau wants to blame Jose or Perez for running up in a goddamn smoke shop, stealing Black and Miles like he's a security threat. But yeah, you got men here from different countries that's gathering intel about your infrastructure, but that's not being spoken about. The hypocrisy of this devil. So anyway, this is the book of Jeremiah 16. And I'm going to start at verses. Let's start at verses 4. It says, they should die of grievous deaths. And who is this talking about? It's talking about the children of Israel, you blacks, Hispanic, and Native American. It says, they should not be lamented, neither should they be buried, but they should be as dung upon the face of the earth. And they should be consumed by the sword. And what's the sword? Esau. Okay, in the form of his FEMA camps, his military contingency plans, like you got what they call Operation Garden Plot, and a similar exercise Loudon Spike. Let's look up Operation Garden Plot. It says the Defense or Department of Defense Civil Disturbance Plan, also known by as Krypton Garden Plot, was a general U.S. Army and National Guard plan to respond to major domestic civil disturbances within the United States. And hey, when he mentioned that when civil unrest occurs and you operate what they call the Insurrection Act, and they deploy the National Guards to the cities, and then they enact martial law. Now, that's a form of civil disturbance, because an Insurrection Act, that means that you have chaos in the cities, you know, uprisings, you have protests, you know, people getting hurt. And when they deploy the National Guard to police the streets of America, this is considered civil unrest. Okay, so civil disturbances. It says the plan was developed in response to the civil disorders of the 1960s and fell under the control of the Northern Command. It says it provided federal military and law enforcement assistance to local governments during a time of major civil disturbances. And we're coming to a time of all hell breaking loose, when there's going to be chaos in all these cities. Okay, you're going to the downtown areas, the metropolises, as you call the ghettos, or the urban areas, man, the suburbs. You're going to have chaos all over the place. I mean, to the point you're going to look out your window and you're going to have neighbors having shootouts and fights and all types of stuff going on right in your fucking front yard, man. So it's going to be chaos on all sides. And guess who's going to be caught up in that? You Israelites, you Jakes, you Negro, Latino, and Native American. Because you refuse to believe that, you know, you refuse to see the judgment coming. You know, but instead you want to be on this sexy red kicking this whole, you know, we getting in our bag. Look, the only bag you finna get is the one they gonna put you in. Okay, and they might not even put you in a bag, because the scriptures say that the dead should be casted out as dung. And you know what? Good for you, Jakes. It says the Garden Plot drafts after the Watts, Newark, and Detroit riots, which were Jakes captured a criminous times when a document was drawn up. It says the plot warns against racial unrest, as well as anti-draft and anti-Vietnam elements, man. And now they're talking about reinstating the draft. So basically what this is saying, in a time of all hell breaking loose, they can deploy the military to act as active law enforcement. Because you're going to understand Esau's whole thing when hell break loose is have what he called continuity of government. So even if, let's say, if your government is shut down, but you have continuity of government, meaning that the military and the powers to be assumes the authority, and they delegate roles to these particular troops to police certain areas. And this is going to be in the case of FEMA. Okay, FEMA and the UN, because FEMA, what they don't tell you is that FEMA has contracts, or like you have what they call BlackRock, and they got contracts with these particular agencies in case of all hell breaking loose, that they can deploy their security task force of Gestapo troops, or however they deem to so-called neutralize a threat. And they just gonna be killing people mercilessly, man. And this is why the scriptures say that you should be like madmen, sparing none. But it reads, it said the Pentagon activated Garden Plot to restore order during the 1992 Los Angeles riots, okay, which was you simple as Jakes burning down your damn neighborhoods. Garden Plot was superseded by what is a U.S. Northcom Concept Plan, Con Plan 2502, following the September 11 attacks on the United States. But under the Homeland Security restructuring, it has been suggested that the similar models be followed Oversight of those homeland security missions should be provided by National Guard Bureau based on long-standing guarding plot model in which National Guard units are trained and equipped to support civil authorities and crowd control in civil disturbance missions, man. So that says it all. Okay. So it says, they should not be lamented, neither should they be buried, but they should be as dung upon the face of the earth. Because, I mean, like I said, they're going to go in your neighborhoods. They're going to go in your little hoods. You know, the ones that, you know, Jake, you can't come down this block. They're going to come through there with their tanks, you know what I'm saying, with their batarangs, and they're going to kick in doors. They're going to snatch you out of there. And if you buck up, they're going to put one in your back of your head. Okay? Children and women, too. Okay? The rest of you that they don't kill, they're going to haul off into a detention center. And they gonna have their way with you in there. And, hey, you don't want to know what goes on in them detention centers. Watch that movie called Hostel. Watch Hostel Part 1, Part 2, and Part 3. And that's what they're gonna do to you Israelites. They're gonna torture your ass. Why? Because you ain't take heed. We warning your ass now. You ain't take heed. So they're gonna get a lot of you and they're gonna put you to death. Okay, they're gonna separate families, they're gonna separate the children from the parents, the father from the mother from the children, and they're gonna have their way with you. And those FEMA troops, they believe in grape. Okay, they're gonna grape a lot of you Israelite women. You know, since you like to show it, flaunt it, and pop it, they're gonna have their way with you. And it says here, and they should be consumed by the sword and by famine, and their carcass should be meat for fowls of the heaven and for the beasts of the earth. Okay. So it says here, for thus says Yahweh, enter not into the house of mourning, neither go to lament nor bemoan them. So basically the Lord said, to hell with them. Okay, we're not going to cry for you, Jakes, man, when our hell break loose. For what? You've brought it upon yourselves because you didn't take heed to the warning. You know, you got men out there week in and week out, and we're constantly pumping out these shows, but yet you choose to turn a blind eye to it. So therefore the Lord is going to have his way with you. It says, for I have taken away my peace from this people, says the Lord, ever love kindness and even mercy. And both the great and small should die in his land, and they should not be buried. Neither shall men lament for them, nor cut themselves, nor make themselves bald for them. Neither shall men tear themselves for them in mourning to comfort them for the dead. Neither shall men give them the cup of consolation to drink for their father nor their mother. Okay? So, yeah, Yahweh Shai is ready to open up on you, Jakes, man. All right? Let's go from here to the book of Ezekiel. What is Ezekiel 21, 10. This is the book of Ezekiel 21, and I'm going to start at verses 8. It says, again, the word of the Lord came into me, saying, son of man, prophesy and say, thus says the Lord, say, a sword is sharpened and also furbished. Okay, when you furbish something, that means that you're polishing up or you're altering or branding it like new. Like Esau has something which is called refurbished, meaning that it's restored to something new. It's put in new parts and then is basically brand new. It's altered. And it says here, a sword is sharpened and also furbished. It is sharpened to make a sore slaughter. It is furbished that it may glitter. Okay. And it says, should we then make mirth? And yeah, because like I said, you Negroes are all about mirth and folly. You know, here you talking about, oh yeah, we gonna vote for Trump. Just 4 years ago, you was crying because Trump was in there. Oh, Trump's a racist, or he's dealing with prostitutes. He said to hell with black women. He called us savages. But yet this guy Biden is molesting kids. He's a pedo. More kids have come up missing on this man's watch than any other term. But all because he was a Democrat and put his witchcraft upon you, then, you know what I'm saying, you want to vote for him. Like now, he's talking about, oh, well, you know, if you don't vote for us, then you're going to be in trouble because we're going to bring back your rights to vote and all this other shit. Who gives it? That ain't, man, look, that's a bogus trade-off. Putting him in there another 4 years, which he can't even, he's stepping down. But then he said he was going to give you the right to 187 your babies. And you stupid black women think that's a form of empowerment, all because you got the power over life. And don't you know that a fucking abortion is murder? And you so stupid to the point that these Edomites keep you in sin away from your power. They know how dumb that is, and they know you're gonna fall for it because you want that freedom of choice. What kind of sick individual will give you the right to 187 your children, man? And you think that's empowerment? That's dumb as hell, man. Oh, that's empowering. And basically giving you the license to go out there and play a hoe. You go out there, you get popped by different men. Like I was at the city market yesterday. I was doing some work down there, and when I pulled up, for one thing, when I went to work, and then we went down to work in the city market. So I parked my car at the job. So it was this woman, it was this female young chick. You know, typical Keisha, eyelashes and everything. You know, little hood rat, right? So I get out the car, go inside the office, and then, you know, we catch the bus down to the city market. So I get to the city market. So once we were done canvassing and doing what we do, I went to go buy some spices and some herbs and stuff because, you know, the stuff is relatively cheap down there. So coincidentally, this same chick that I parked next to was in a store buying herbs and spices. He said, "Then I'll just see you." I said, "I don't know, maybe." So we started having a conversation. I'm like, "Where you was at the jig for?" She was like, she was down there getting an STD test. And I looked at her and I shook my head. And I was like, "For what? Like your boyfriend brought you?" She said, "Nah." And just off the rip, that lets me know that she was playing the field. She wasn't a bad looking chick, but you could tell she young chick out there. You know, and then she mentioned something about Houston, and you know, I was cracking jokes and shit. I'm like, let me find out you out in Houston and going to Dubai. You know, I'm really basically saying, yeah, you a whore. You know, because black women go to Dubai and they get pooped on, literally. And she started laughing and shit, because she knew what I was talking about. But, and I don't knock you from getting, you know, an STD test. I mean, yeah, it's good to get yourself checked out. But you did it based on the account of you being promiscuous, man. And they vote for these guys to put Biden in office just so they can go out and live that lifestyle in case things happen. Then they can go and do away with their children. That's wickedness, man. You give them a license to do stupidity. I feel like if you out there being promiscuous and you get knocked up by a dude because you want to play the whore, you should keep the baby. That's your consequence. Don't give them away out of that shit. Because either way it go, you screwed. You do if you damn if you do, you damn if you don't. But anyway, it says it is sharpened to make a sore slaughter. It is furbished that it may glitter. Should we then make mirth? It says, it contemned the rod of my son, even as every tree. And he had given it to be furbished that it may be handled. This sword is sharpened, it is furbished, and is given into the hand of the slayer, man. Okay? And that slayer is Esau. And y'all gonna find out real soon that this man has no dealings. He has no love for you. He has no care for you. He has no concern for you. All right? And you're gonna find that out once these Edomites really pop out their little devil horns. See, they on the Hellboy shit now. They shave the horns off. But when all hell break loose and there's no law enforcement that's coming to your beck and call, you better believe that your neighbors Sue Ellen and Jimmy and Billy and all these men who you thought was just friendly neighborhood Edomites, they gonna come in your spot and they gonna have their way with you. Mark my words. This is why, hey, you brothers live around Edomites. Hey, the spirit hop on you and all day. You gotta eliminate every threat. You gotta go through. I already know in my spirit what I gotta do. I'm like, all right, I already know what I gotta do. You know what I'm saying? And it ain't nothing else that can be done but that. You gotta go through and you gotta smite, because trust me, they gonna pay you a visit. I guarantee you that. It says here, cry and howl, son of man, for it should be upon my people. It should be upon all the princes of Israel. Terrors by the reason of the sword should be upon my people. Smite therefore upon thy thigh. Okay, and you know, understand that the Lord had Ezekiel to do certain things, to act out the judgments and to act out the Lord's prophecies as to what was going to happen to Israel. You see, because he dealt with him like in the form of a parable. So he did certain things in front of Jake, and they looking like, this dude is bugging out. Why is he cutting his hair, cutting his beard? I thought that was against the law, but they didn't understand that the Lord was using him to show them what was coming upon them, you know? So it's going to get real nitty gritty out here. And hey, all hell may break loose before the election, during it, or after. We don't know. It may not even be a selection. But either way it go with this whole theatric show, they going to do something that's going to upset everybody's, man, you know, and they going to get people to riot. Daniel 12:1, it says, and at that time Michael shall stand up. The great prince was standing for the children of thy people. And it says, and there should be a time of trouble, such it was never since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time thy people should be delivered, everyone that should be found written in the book of life. And that's going into the elect. But the majority of our people, they're not going to be delivered from the judgments because they didn't take heed to the warnings. You see? Luke 19 and Luke 19, and I'm going to start at verses 40. It says, and he answered and said unto them, I tell you that if these should hold their peace, the stones would immediately cry out. And when he was come near, he beheld the city and wept over it, saying, if thou hast known, even thou, at least in this thy day, the things which belong unto thy peace, but now they are hid from thy eyes. For the day should come upon thee that thy enemy should cast a trench about thee and compass thee round, and keep thee in on every side, and shall lay thee even to with the ground, and thy children within thee, and they should not leave in thee one stone upon another, because thou knewest not the time of thy visitation. And this is going to happen again, just on a far greater scale. But with that, all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. Lord's will, you will edify.